Welcome to another movie plot. It opens with the highly intelligent caveman O foraging for strawberries in the dense Israeli wilderness. His best friend and the village idiot Zed accompanies the hunting party led by their greatest warrior Marlak, who curses him out for scaring away their dinner, and they return home in a bad mood. Zed confers with his hetero life mate about their need to find women to lay with. He approaches Maya and puts the primitive moves on her, but she's more interested in Marlak as he keeps flashing his junk at her. As they lounge around, Zed laments his hatred for the camp while the love-stricken O fawns over Eema. Unfortunately for the gatherer, she's only attracted to hunters, so the two friends go for a walk to forget their troubles. As they pass the tree of knowledge of good and evil, Zed has the idea to eat the forbidden fruit. Despite tasting his intelligence rising, Zed's unable to come up with an idea to prevent the wild python from constricting O. That night Zed questions everything while O attempts to finally make a move on Eema. He dances in front of her in his little loincloth until she eventually decides to join, but when O takes his friend's advice to club her and drag her back to the hut, it fails to knock her out and the mood's killed. Suddenly Zed's called out in front of the entire village for eating the forbidden fruit and they put him on trial. The shaman, who acts overly animated throughout every situation's now just disappointed in Zed. It's the oldest rule the tribe has and he broke it, requiring them to banish him indefinitely or else bring bad luck to the tribe. The outcast gives his final speech inviting anyone to join him on his travels, but even O refuses to go on that death sentence. When Zed accidentally burns down a hut, he's run out of town by the tribe, who locate him hiding under a few leaves making frog sounds. Marlak's about to execute him, but O bludgeons him with a log, doing a much better job than he did on Eema. Forced to accompany him since it was O's hut that Zed burnt down, the travelers encounter a cougar that Zed tells his young friend to stay perfectly still to avoid, then runs away leaving the cat to maul him. The next day the wounded and disgruntled gatherer fashions some arrows to protect them on their long quest. They reach the edge of their known border and continue to find signs of a foreign animal. The taste leads them to a herd of cloven-hooved beasts that Zed takes a pot shot at before realizing they need arrowheads. With his stone dagger he leaps on the cow, but it bucks him off, leading to the animal's owners confronting them about shooting their livestock. The brothers Cain and Abel begin bickering in front of the strangers about which of them receives more of God's favor. They outright fight, which results in Cain murdering his brother in a moment of passion before realizing his mistake. He threatens Zed and O to remain quiet and gives them a lift back to his village, where they both experience wheels for the first time. Cain spends the rest of the day trying to convince his father Adam that he hasn't seen his son. At night Zed bunks with Cain's lesbian sister but doesn't understand why Lilith isn't interested in his advances. While O's allowed to sleep in the mentally deficient brother Seth's room, who stays up all night farting. The next morning Adam and his workers begin the search for Abel, so Cain warns the cavemen to escape with him lest they all be accused of his murder. When the body's discovered, a high-speed wagon chase ensues where Adam's oxen decide to just wander off the road, while Cain's struck with a lightning bolt but still manages to escape. They travel to a marketplace and come across Marlak in chains and being sold at an auction. Zed and O find their love interests, who say that they were captured when the fire spread to the rest of the camp and forced them out of their homes. The boys try to buy the girls' freedom, but Cain makes his own deal on the side and ends up selling them into slavery. They're transported in cramped cages across the scorching desert, until being attacked by a group of well-armed Sodomites. The slaves escape but are all recaptured by the soldiers except for Zed and O, who flee into the desert and are expected to perish by the Sodomite general Sargon. The boys hang around on a dune overlooking the camp waiting for the right moment to rescue the others, but they fall asleep and wake to a deserted campsite. Knowing the caravan's destination, Zed and O walk to Sodom and come across Abraham about to sacrifice his son Isaac. He pretends to just be playing a game with the bound child and takes the cavemen back to his Hebrew village. The father of Judaism tells them about the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and how God plans to smite them for their sins. Still resolved to save Maya and Eema, the pair entertain his stories until he begins talking about circumcision. He's recently invented it by way of God, and the moment he goes to get his good knife, Zed and O make a dash for the hills as Isaac's heard screaming in the distance. While walking to Sodom, the tipless boy catches up and accompanies the pair to the city of sinners to get away from his father. He claims to visit the city all the time with his boys on the weekends, but runs home the moment they arrive when guards arrest the cavemen. Zed and O are tortured with slaps and nipple twisters until Sargon enters to reveal why they call the place Sodom. He gets them bent over the table when Cain enters, now a Sodomite soldier, and saves them both from the bumpy shaft. He apologizes for selling them into slavery as he was dealing with the loss of a family member and was in a bad headspace. He offers them food and wine and gives the pair a tour of the Devil's Playground. The next day the cavemen get jobs as city guards but are incapable of standing in lines and following orders. So while patrolling the city they see the Sumerian princess Inanna, and Zed's the only one who doesn't kneel until being reminded. Her father, the king of Sodom, has a meeting in the royal palace about the starving peasants being on the edge of a riot. The high priest reads the intestines of a goat to conclude that they need to sacrifice more virgins to appease their gods. He threatens to hurl a lightning bolt at the prime minister when he suggests he's a phony for all of the wand waving. They hold a sacrifice with all of the townspeople attending, including Zed and O. Inanna's fasting as she feels guilty that most of the city's starving while her mother continues stuffing her face. It's hard for the priest to obtain virgins in the city of sinners, but he casts a woman into the fire nonetheless, which Zed says is a waste of a perfectly good virgin. O's glad that it's only women or he'd be in trouble, while Inanna recognizes Zed as the guard who refused to kneel and has him brought to the palace. O's handed off to Zoftig the eunuch, who carries his balls around with him in a pouch and paints the boy head to toe in gold to play the part of a statue in tonight's celebrations. Zed's cleaned up for the party and shown the way by Maya, who's now working as a servant to the princess. During the night, O spots Eema working as a server, so Zed saves his sister from being abused by Sargon. He's almost recognized by the Sodom knight, but the evasive caveman avoids trouble once again. He's presented to Inanna, who invited him to the party because she knew he would be defiant, and find her attractive enough to perform a daunting task she doesn't want to risk doing herself. Meanwhile, O's made to spend the night oiling the high priest's hairy chest before being taken under his wing as an altar boy. They wait outside a chamber called the Holy of Holies, which no man may enter lest he be struck down by the gods. The priest suddenly feels the mood for another oil bath as the princess asks Zed to enter the Holy of Holies and beg the gods to end the famine. She butters him up, talking of being the chosen one, and promises to free his friends if he does. So he enters the empty room, pleading with it not to kill him, but a familiar voice speaks back. O's hiding from the high priest in the smartest location, and they get into a heated argument about whether gods are real. Zed kneels at the altar to pray for a sign to prove their existence, while O accidentally breaks the junk off a fertility statue. He doesn't believe they're real, while Zed can't comprehend that everything's just random, but despite their differences they make up. Inanna's convinced he's chatting to the gods, but they're ratted on by an eavesdropping Cain. When the boys exit, they're greeted by the king's guard, who drag them off to the dungeons for desecrating the temple. Again, O gets the shaft when he's chained upside down, resulting in his bathroom breaks also serving as a shower time. They're brought before the crowd and sentenced to death, allowing them to choose who casts the first stones at them. The eunuch throws his testicle, so they move on to the second choice, which is a young child. But the kid's got a cannon for an arm and headshots O until Zed makes a plea for their lives. He convinces the Sodomites that he must be the chosen one since he didn't die when entering the Holy of Holies, and everyone knows that the chosen one gets his +1 saving O from the same fate. With the crowd now on their side, the kings advise not to execute them or else risk a riot from the people, so they're instead sentenced to hard labor building a nearby temple until they die from exhaustion. While working, Zed's put with Marlak, who's still angry about the whole enslavement thing. O's forced to squish mud with a delusional lifelong volunteer who's just happy to be out in the sun. The king announces that he'll be sacrificing his own daughter alongside Maya and Eema, who are labeled as followers of the chosen one. They drink wine to ease the pain and wander out onto the stage to be burned alive to appease the gods. With the assistance of Marlak, who rises up against his sodomizers, Zed interrupts the ceremony by accidentally bringing down the entire construction site. A riot's instigated by O as the people are already at their breaking point from the famine and don't want their princess Inanna to be sacrificed. He punches a handmaiden to rescue Eema and takes her inside the palace to also punch her V-card and save her from death. Abraham and Isaac arrive to begin cutting foreskins while the king's overthrown by his own general, who appoints the prime minister as the new leader. Sargon confronts Zed, who attempted to rescue Maya from the high priest but seemed to just do more harm than good. During their fight, O accidentally hits Zed in the head with a rock while aiming at the sodomite, but he causes enough of a distraction that Zed's able to knock Sargon into the crowd where he swarmed. The new king denounces his crown as O prevents the high priest from sacrificing Maya by tossing oil in his face. It causes him to stumble back into the fire, and the heavens open up as it rains for the first time in years. The crowd cheer, but the rain suddenly stops, causing confusion among the sodomites. Zed decides against acting as their ruler and reveals that he's just as much the chosen one as any of them, which causes it to begin raining again. After the celebration, Inanna's left to rule Sodom while the two distinguished cavemen split up to begin their new lives elsewhere. A large group of people join O and Eema to rebuild their village, while another group travels with Zed and Maya to continue exploring the ancient world. And the movie ends.